Welcome to a Pneuma conversation, a place where the unseen becomes seen, a space where the silenced become heard, and where the rejected are accepted. Together we breathe. Together we remember that we all are remembered. We are all loved, and we all belong. These are the conversations that remind us what it means to be alive. Before I introduce our guest today, you're already seeing her on camera. She looks familiar, but this is the start of season 2 of the podcast. I am so excited. I never thought this would happen, and here we are. And I want to reiterate that my intention is to create a community where the unseen becomes seen. I want to create a space where the silenced are heard and where the rejected are accepted. This is important. We have all of us in our society have felt this. It doesn't matter whether it was caused by someone or caused by an institution, whatever. We have all felt this at one time or another in our lives. And so that is my intention with the work I do, with the people that I work with, the videos I post, and especially this podcast. And this podcast is a safe place to ask those questions, to have those conversations, because here everyone is remembered.
That's right.
But not just here. All over. In spirit, we are all remembered. And so, without any other delay, today we're in conversation with Julie Bailey. Julie, welcome back to the conversation.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here again, continuing our conversation from last time.
Oh, it's great. I shared with you that so many people reached out to me, thanking me for the conversation we had.
I'm so thankful for that.
Your
That's
words,
amazing.
Yep, your words really spoke to people. Your music, which we're going to get to a little bit more, your music is really touching people. Your music is providing that outlet to vent the frustration and the anger.
Yes.
What so many of us experienced growing up in the church.
Yep.
And but anyway, here we are, and I just had to have you back. We even talked about it off air that we got to do something else, and we
conversation wasn't over when we ran out of time last time.
It was not, and the conversation even started like an hour before we even started recording. I mean, because the connections between us are uncanny.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no accidents, and then as a result of what we're finding of posting that first episode with you, you're resonating with so many people.
I'm so glad. That's what I instilled into this, at least into the music from the beginning, was that it would reach the people that it would resonate with and have meaning, because I know that a lot of other people are on the same journey, but don't know where it's safe to ask the questions, or don't know are struggling for the words, right? And if the music can provide the words that resonate, like, oh yeah, that's what I'm feeling, that's what I'm experiencing, and then there's something to connect to, that helps us on that journey.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Julie, we're just going to get right into it. And
okay, let's go.
I wanted to say too, really quick, I would love to share one of your songs while we're recording, but the recording doesn't always pick it up.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to even try it. So
because
otherwise people are just listening to dead space. So Zoom is aware of this challenge, and I think they're fixing that. But yes, I would love to share one of your music, but people are going to the
understand completely.
People are finding it, and I will put it in the notes again. But anyway, let's just jump into this.
Okay,
Julie, I kind of asked you this the last episode, but so I'm asking the question a little bit differently.
Okay,
and we kind of already know but it's been a couple weeks, and so I'm going to ask it again, but in a different way.
Okay. All right.
What has shaped you into the life you are living now?
I don't remember how I answered that question the first time, which is good, right? Which is good. Um,
And those who don't remember, the original question was kind of a general question. Well, tell us about who Julie is,
yeah.
your
Yeah.
life, and this
Hmm.
is kind of more. This gets to the heart.
Um, the first word that came to mind when you asked that question was heartache.
Mm,
Um, but I'm not coming from a place. I don't say that from a place of like bitterness.
sure.
I'm grateful for all those heartaches, um, because they made me question the um, the where I was at in my life, what I was doing, what I was being told, what was being imposed on me. And when we have to become really uncomfortable with something before we'll make a change.
Yes.
Like when we're comfy and content in our comfort zone, like we're not going to shake anything up because we're perfectly happy there. So it was a lot of heartache, in both like personal relationships, church, finances, health, like you name it. And but that's where we grow also. So in a nutshell, it's heartache, right? But there's also like, where you go back one day and you see that a little flower has sprouted from the very place that you buried all your heartache, and it's like, oh, okay, okay. So I'm grateful for
Right.
all of the difficulties and the challenges and the tears and all of those things, because they got me out of the comfort zone to where I would expand
Mhm.
and grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not your identity.
No,
And so many
no,
people make that their identity and they wear it as
yeah,
a badge of honor. And that is not what you're saying.
no. Healing is not my life purpose. It's just what I had to do to be able to get to the place that I could live out my life purpose.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Grow through the storms.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the church
Okay.
a little bit more. And I first want to say this. I want to be very clear about this. Julie and I are not saying, and when I have these conversations with others, or if I post videos about the church, I am not in any way saying I don't believe in God.
Right.
I am not, and we are not in any way saying that we don't believe in Yeshua. We don't believe the way the church has told us that we should believe in God and believe in Yeshua. And there's a big difference. I also want to point out that it doesn't matter if you're part of the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, whatever. These institutions are still following what was set up by the Council of Nicaea, by the Empire Church, back when Rome was in power of the world, back in the 300s.
Mhm.
This is very important to understand because then you can understand where so many of us are coming from. We are questioning the authority of
Mhm.
the establishment
Mhm.
of the institution, and we are questioning the authority of those in charge.
Mhm. Yep. So
Because
you
what
can
is
see why that
what,
was viewed as a threat,
and
right?
yes, and even
Yeah.
today it's a threat
Hmm. Yeah.
because some of them, many of them are well-intentioned leaders. Many of these leaders are well-intentioned, but as soon as they make a mistake, I'm going to say mistake and not sin,
Hmm.
but as
That's
soon
right.
as they make a mistake, and or they violate someone else, their behavior is immediately covered. And the word forgiveness is thrown around.
Yep.
And the people that have been hurt by that leader or leaders are left in the dark.
Yes. And I have lived that.
And you have lived that. I have lived that. And we're hearing more and more of these stories coming out, not just in the church and not just in religious organizations, but in every institution, political and otherwise, every institution, whatever. And I'm going to say men because it's the men that are the leaders of these places. They think they have the power to control. And this isn't any different than when the church formed into an institution back in 300 AD. We're still seeing it. And that is what we were bringing attention to.
Yep.
And we're bringing attention to the hypocrisy of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is not embodying Jesus's words.
No. And like I think my first act of rebellion, and probably maybe my biggest act of rebellion, was just to ask some questions, because that just because of like what you're pointing out here, is not okay, really okay, to ask questions, to question what you're being taught in the context of the church, what you're being told to believe, what you're being told to do or not to do. Like so often, if like as a kid, right, like when you're being programmed with all of these things, you might ask why, or why or why not. Or you might point out something that like, oh, but that seems like a contradiction. Not that we would use that word as a little kid, but this doesn't make sense with this. And you learned real quickly, or at least I did, that asking questions was a no-no.
Yep.
And it was seen as either you were being like defiant, or you were like questioning God, and that was a sin. And we're ingrained to believe that just like blind obedience was the gold standard. Just take everything that we're telling you, don't ask questions, live your life accordingly, and that's how you be a good person.
Yes.
Now, if you don't, if you want to ask questions, or you want to doubt something, or then you don't have enough faith, you don't have, something's wrong with you, then you get guilt and you get shame and you get a smack on the hands and you get prayed for and everything else, because clearly you're the problem here if you're even remotely asking questions. And that shouldn't be the case. Like when I was raising my kids, when my kids were younger, if I asked them to do something or told them not to do something, and they asked me why, that was a great opportunity for me to explain my rationale or the reasoning, right? And it would help them understand something, and it would help them grow.
Other than just saying, because I said so, or
yes,
I'm your mother, or I'm your parent.
Yes. And my mom did use that line, because I said so sometimes.
You can't blame blame our parents, because that's what they heard.
Yes, absolutely. And
we're living a different time now where we can talk about this. They could not talk about that.
Yes.
So I want to honor that first and foremost.
And I remember times when I was in the church as a leader in the church, as a teacher, or that people would ask me, and it was usually like after class, because you don't want to ask in front of everybody, because shame on you for having a question. But they would ask later, but I don't understand why this or this. And I would find myself challenged to answer those questions. I knew the answer I was supposed to give,
Yes.
But deep down, it bothered me too.
Yes.
Like I knew the answer that the church would want me to have for that question,
Mhm.
but it didn't feel right in my spirit really to deliver that as the answer.
Mhm. Yes.
So asking questions and just being curious and looking into things, that's where we start to learn a whole lot more. And it
Yeah.
should be a good thing. Asking questions is encouraged if you're in school, if you're in a work environment and you're wanting to, understand more, like asking questions is supposed to be a good thing. Church is the only place I know of that's been
Bad.
really taboo.
Yeah. But yet they will call out other organizations and other leaders who do that and say it's cultish, it's wrong,
Mhm.
it's evil, it's sinful, but yet they're doing it themselves.
Mhm.
I also want to point out that women aren't the only ones that are abused and are
You're
violated.
right. You're absolutely right.
Men are too.
Mhm. Mhm.
And men have also been abused and violated by women.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And that is also not talked about.
Nope. There's a lot of things that aren't talked about.
And that's
Mhm.
a biggie because men are looked at because it's a patriarchal society.
Mhm.
Men are looked at as the predators. Men are looked at as the ones that inflict the pain and inflict the
That's
rules,
not
and
always the
and
case.
that is not
Mhm.
always the case.
Mhm.
Absolutely not.
No.
But why this is happening, and I want to bring, and you're a therapist, so you've got the degree to back up what I'm about to say, and you kind of have an idea of what I'm about to say. Hurt people.
Mhm.
But when you are caught in trauma that has not been healed and has not been looked at, you repeat that cycle
Mhm.
and you do not realize that you are doing it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so then the perpetrator becomes the victim and the victim becomes the perpetrator because your subconscious is still playing out the event that took place from the very beginning of when it
Mhm.
started for that individual.
Mhm.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
this is very
absolutely.
important. This is very important because again, we're not placing blame. We're we're not, not pointing the finger. We're trying to
Yeah.
get people to understand why this is happening, which is why we need to have the conversation and ask these questions.
Absolutely. It's a lot of it is a lot of, you said it a minute ago, a lot of religious, whether it's leaders or just churchgoers, right?
Mhm.
Bel 100% believe that they're right
Yes.
because this is what they've been taught.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
This is what's been normalized. It's what they've been taught, and they've taken it in and believed it to be truth, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's in our wiring. Those of us that were raised in church from like the get go, we've been getting this wiring from like before we can even consciously have remembrance of our childhood. It's there, right?
Mhm.
Um, Traumas that have happened to people, whether they happened in the church and because of the church, or just something that happened at home or at school or out in the alley or whatever, the church has not been great about helping us heal from
No.
trauma either, just as a side note,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. Yes.
You're
They don't know what
just,
to do with it because
no,
they're educated in theology and studying the scripture.
right. And
That's
this lack of being trauma informed is like the
yes.
word that we use, right? Of
Yes.
understanding trauma and its impacts leads us to just keep perpetuating it, right?
Hmm. Yes.
But it's not always from a place of maliciousness.
Yes. Right.
It really isn't
Yes.
that is not the intention, but it's people, like I said, that really believe they're doing the right thing and they don't realize that they're compounding the harm.
Hmm.
So there are, of course, people that are just, they're up to no good, right? They don't have good intentions. They're
Yeah, there are.
greedy.
Yes.
They're hurtful. There are those people. Yes. But I think the vast majority of people that are in a church pew or that are in leadership roles in church, they believe they're right because this is what they've been ingrained to believe. It's what they've been taught. And
Yeah.
so they believe it, and then they pass it on, and then those people pass it on, and then those people pass it
Hmm.
on, right?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Without intention to hurt or harm,
Yes.
but without the understanding that it's just perpetuating the
Mhm.
trauma and the dysfunction, right? So whether we were looking at a family system or an organization or an institution or whatever, we have to break those cycles.
Mhm.
And that comes with asking questions and
Yes.
being willing to shake things up. But like, to your point, what you're talking about is very subconscious. And we
Yes.
spend the majority of our time in our conscious mind. Like 90-95% of our time is in our conscious mind. And we can do a lot. We do a lot of really great work there.
Yeah.
But our subconscious is our programming. That's
Yes.
our software,
And that's where the
right?
real creativity begins if
It
we're able
is. It
to
is.
heal that. Yes.
Right. And you can't get into that. You
No.
can't do the update on your operating system in the
Yes.
subconscious when we're constantly in the conscious. And that's why, like,
Mhm.
learning how to meditate and be still,
Yes. Yep.
breathe,
Yeah.
that we can come to a place in our subconscious where we can take the things that we've been brave enough to question some things, and then to start tweaking our belief system. And then it has to go into the subconscious to be rewired. And to get there, we have to be able to come through that place of stillness and peace in order to make those changes. We can't do it up here on the conscious level, not fully.
Yeah. That's right. And when we just go back for 1 second, when we
Mm-hmm.
are doing this to each other, you've heard me say this, my audience has heard me say it. I'm going to keep repeating it because we need to understand this in our subconscious mind. When we do this to each other, we are literally telling each other that you do not have a right to breathe. You do
Mm-hmm.
not have a
Mm-hmm.
right to exist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That may not be the intention,
Yeah.
but that's the reaction because
Mm-hmm.
it's causing me to feel shame. It's causing me to hide and go in a corner and not want to be doing what I'm doing or you doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We are
Mm-hmm.
hurting each other.
Mm-hmm. One
We've
of
got to
the
stop.
If we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Okay.
there's a
Yep.
triangle thing on some of the bottom layer things are like safety and security and, having housing and food and things like that, right? But then it's acceptance and love,
Hmm.
right? And we can't move up higher up into self-actualization and things like that if we're not feeling a sense of acceptance and love.
Yes. Yes.
So the church makes it to where we don't feel accepted unless we are doing the things
Yes.
they say, believing the things they say, and not doing the things they say not to do.
Yes.
It's conditional, right? If you
Yes.
don't
Yep.
go by the blueprint, then you
Yep.
don't feel accepted. You're made to feel like an outcast, like a sinner, and so it hits at that feeling of acceptance, which, like, is at the root of our foundation, right?
Mhm.
So we're easily controlled when we don't feel accepted.
Yep. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just making a note because there's a point I want to get back
Yeah.
to. Um, and then we do this in our relationships with each other. Because as soon as you don't agree with me, you're
Mm-hmm.
not invited to Christmas dinner.
Yep.
You're not invited. I'm
Yep.
going to outcast you from my family. I'm going to be angry with you because you're not believing the way I do. And we hurt our family the most.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yet we totally accept our friends' differences of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Although it depends on the topic, because now in the world we're living in right now, that's also kind of getting blurred. But
Yeah.
we do the same. You're no longer allowed to be a part of my life because you don't agree with me.
Right. And there are some, and I'm not throwing shade at any
Yes.
denominations or anything, but there are some church groups that actually, and they still do the whole shunning thing, right? Like if you
I
do
grew up in
something,
Pennsylvania around the Amish, so
right.
I've,
Yes.
but also it's not just
Yes.
limited to the Amish.
No, it's not. That's like the extreme example of like, we're
Right.
going to shun you and your whole family. But it happens like you're describing with, oh, well, my kid's not going to invite your kid to the birthday party. And,
Yes.
like things like that. And it gets at us. It
Yes.
does, right? Because we are creatures, we're social beings, right? We're
Yes.
interconnected, and we all have that desire to feel loved and appreciated and valued and accepted. And so people use that as a weapon,
And
including
again,
the church, unfortunately.
yeah, and again, when we do this to each other,
Yeah.
we are telling each other to the core, you do not have the right to exist,
Mm-hmm.
according to the
Yeah.
way I believe.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
need to become aware of that
Mm-hmm.
because for most of us, that is not our intention.
Mm-mm.
And
No, but it's
when we
it's sure what's conveyed.
it's sure what's conveyed.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, we're seeing it with where we treat each other based on race and nationality.
We can throw out anything there,
We
Chad.
could absolutely
Age, weight,
age,
sexual orientation, it
everything.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And
Yeah.
this is where, you have heard, I created with the field, I created the sovereignty, my
Mhm.
breathline sovereignty statement. And in that, there's a section in that no one has the right to tell me I cannot breathe.
Mhm. That's right.
No one has the right to tell me what I can and cannot do
Mhm.
between the sheets with a consensual adult.
Mhm.
No one has the right to tell me, or it's even not even anyone's business what my body parts underneath my clothes. It is no one's
Right.
business the kind of diet, the kind of food I eat, it is no one's business what I do in my personal life, period.
Mhm. Right.
But we've made it our business and we've made it as something that we control each other with. And
Mhm.
if you don't agree with me, then you're not a part of my life.
And even okay, even if that's what somebody believes,
Yes, it's okay.
that's fine. But
Yes,
like what you do is between you and God,
that's exactly it. Yes,
not between you and them.
that's
Like,
right.
you know,
Well, then what about accountability? Well, I didn't invite you to be my accountability partner, if I can use
yes.
those
Hmm.
terms,
Hmm.
and also this, I want to bring attention to this. There is this unspoken, it's not a rule, unspoken belief that if I do not correct you, my soul is liable to go to hell with you. And I'm sure you've heard that. Maybe not in those words, but
But that's the message.
that is the
Yeah.
message.
Yeah.
And that is so not true.
Hmm.
We do we
And it's
complain
not
about
that.
the government going around policing all the countries, but yet as the church, as organizations, we are going around policing each other
Mhm.
and our
Yeah.
families and everything,
Yeah. Casting the stones,
casting the stones.
right? Not taking the plank out of your own damn eye before trying to get a
Yes.
speck in somebody else's eye. Yeah. I mean,
And
it's
I
not even, doesn't even line up with Jesus' teachings.
Yes. And I want to go back to the very beginning of this conversation,
Mhm.
back to the leaders. It's time to hold them accountable. It doesn't mean that we don't forgive them, but we have got to stop covering up the abuse. We got to stop covering up their mistakes.
I hear
And this
stories
and this
about
is
this.
different. I want to separate this because I have friends that are in ministry who've been falsely accused.
Yes.
I
Yes.
have friends that are in ministry that are
Yep.
no longer in ministry because of their sexuality, and that is not what I'm talking about. I'm
Yeah.
talking
No.
about the leaders who have brought physical and emotional harm
Mhm.
to their congregation members. That is what I'm talking about. Or I'm talking about our political leaders that have brought physical and emotional harm
But it's
to
the
the
age
world.
old problem
Yes,
of who has the backing, who
yes.
has the resources, who has the biggest lawyer, who has, you know,
And how we change this? This is the question I get all the time. Well, I need to go out and fight. No, the change happens here first.
mm-hmm,
It happens in stillness.
mm-hmm,
And it happens when we breathe love into the field. And the more of us that do that, the
mm-hmm.
more change will we see, because the outward is the reflection of our individual
That's right.
lives.
That's
And
right.
that's why we're beginning to see all the distortion blow up right now. We're not just seeing one news headline a day. We're seeing it all unfold
Oh,
every
yeah.
single day because the distortion can no longer contain itself.
Mm-hmm,
But that is how we have to change me first, not
mm-hmm.
Julie, not not so and so, not Trump, not
If
not
I,
he. I have
yeah,
to
if I
change
don't
my
change
heart.
myself first, I wouldn't know what to do anyway. with all
Exactly.
with all the mess. Really, I wouldn't know what I would not have a clue what to do anyway.
Exactly.
Because what a
Absolutely.
cluster, like, and
You can say that
like,
word on here. What a
yeah, I
clusterfuck.
wouldn't.
That's one of my
Yes,
favorite words.
absolutely. I'd be like, I have no idea what. I don't even know because I'm confused, right? So like the change had to happen in me first in order for me to have any clarity.
Yeah, yeah. There was a time
Yeah,
I was afraid to say that word on YouTube, but YouTube doesn't block it out, and neither do the other
they don't.
platforms. So I'm like, okay, we can say it
Yeah,
now. This is great because before they did. So I've
yeah,
been hearing more and more people say it. So, but yeah,
yeah.
clusterfuck is one of my favorite
Yeah,
words.
absolutely. And it's so fitting right now.
So, I
It's
mean,
so
we're kind
fitting.
of hitting a really broad topic within
Yeah,
the
yeah,
concept of the church, but it's not just with the church. So I just, because it's
yeah.
going on all over the place, and that's where we're trying to point out. We're
Hmm.
not,
Yeah.
pigeonholing the church.
No, listen, it's every layer, right?
Yes,
From the church and the government down to individual
business,
corporations,
yes,
down to individual family units,
yes,
down to, I mean, it pervasive throughout all layers, macro and
yes,
micro.
exactly.
Um, yeah.
So people ask me, and I'm sure they've asked you, how do you change your subconscious then? How do you reprogram the subconscious? And I have a process that I go through with my clients, and I'll
Mhm.
I'll share that in a minute. But let's get the clinical
Mhm.
perspective on
Okay,
that.
you bet. Well, you have to access it
You do.
first. You have to access it, and to access it, there's kind of like a veil. There's kind of like a veil between our conscious and our subconscious, whether we say subconscious or unconscious, whatever resonates better. But um, we don't. Our normal waking brain waves don't take us into the subconscious.
No.
They don't. We have to relax in order to get there, and we suck at relaxing. And that's the problem. Okay, I mean that's the problem. This is
We're
this
we're
is
afraid of it.
2026. We are taught to hustle, 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 hustle all the
Yes.
time. Be productive, constantly be doing something, accomplishing something.
Do
If
do
you
do.
sit down to rest, you better be multitasking on something else
Yes.
at the same time, right?
Yeah.
We suck at relaxing, right? We never shut off our minds. And when our minds are racing like that, we are like a hamster in the wheel, but we're in the conscious thoughts, 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 thoughts. Um, you have to be able to slow it down,
Yes.
to actually relax, to actually slow your mind so that your brain waves can get into your
Mhm.
subconscious. You have to. There's no other way to get there. There's not like you can't go up to the front desk and ask for the key. Like you have to be
Love that.
able to relax and to be still and to learn to quiet your mind and your body and your breath and to just be able to it's like floating, right? And I don't mean like up in the clouds, I mean in water, right? You know how like when we're first learning how to float, like there's always that person there that's like, no, you got to relax because otherwise you'll sink. Because if you're all tensed
Mhm.
up, you can't float like that. You have to relax into it. That's how you get into your subconscious, right? Same thing. You have to learn to relax your mind, to relax your body, to let your brain, frequency get to the place where you can access, and then the door's wide open.
Yes.
We can go in here and we can, and one of the things that I like to do is this is not rocket science. Once you
No.
get there, it's not rocket science. Okay. Like I have visualization is the key to the subconscious. The conscious mind likes words.
Mhm.
The subconscious likes visuals.
Mhm.
Okay. Images. So one of the things that I do with people a lot is when I'm having them visualize, I'll like say someone is struggling with a lot of anxiety, right? I'll have them visualize a set of like levers on a wall that are labeled, and one's labeled anxiety, and that lever is on, and the other one is maybe labeled peace, or whatever they want instead of their anxiety, right? And I'll have them in their mind go up and turn the anxiety off and turn the peace
Mm.
on, right?
I love that. Yeah,
Just simple visuals like that, and they work.
they do.
They work. They work, and um, and I have them do affirmations
Hmm.
in there while they're in their subconscious, because we're reprogramming, right? We're saying, I don't believe this anymore. Here's what I do believe. It's as simple as that.
And this can take time.
Mhm. Mhm.
You'll begin to see little things here and there that
Mhm.
it's changing, but this takes time because you've been programming your mind the other way for
Mhm.
how many years you've been alive. So
Yep.
your mind has to unravel that.
Mhm. 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 Yep.
So what I do, I'm all about the breath. I'm all about breathing.
Mhm.
So the first thing is intentionally breathing.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
I say at least 3 times a day,
Mhm.
just to start, or at least 1 time a day. But before you get out of bed, instead of turning off the alarm and jumping out of bed and starting your day, just take a moment to expand your belly, expand your chest,
Mhm.
and just breathe for a minute.
Mhm.
There's
Yep.
nothing that says you have to rush out of bed right away.
Mhm.
We do that to ourselves.
Mhm.
And when we place our hand on our chest, this is the other thing I love to do. When we do this, it actually re-regulates the nervous system. This has been a scientific proven fact.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, in order to program our subconscious, we have to re-regulate the nervous system. And so,
Mhm.
when we breathe intentionally and place our hand on our chest, that is what we are doing, and that
Mhm.
eventually becomes a habit, or that
Yep.
becomes automatic. So, first thing in the morning, middle of the day, and then at night. And I'll get to that in a minute. Now, this is not a philosophy. This is not a routine. This is not a 12-step program. Because as soon as you turn it into that, it goes into the mind and you forget the reason that you're doing it. And
Yep.
and, and someone, well, I forgot to do it today, but I did this. And I go, you did it. Because you're not always in a situation where you can close your eyes, put your hand on your chest, and just
Mhm.
breathe for a minute. But internally is what the internal dialogue is what we're trying to change. And so internally you
Mhm.
went, oh, I need to do this. And when you do that, just like that, everything calms down, whether you do the outward stuff or not. The
Mhm.
third time, and this is the most important, and this is crucial. This is utterly crucial. I tell my clients, you have to stop. You have to start um, relaxing at least an hour before you go to sleep. You've got to turn everything off. What do? We stay on our phones or on our computers up until the very moment we decide to turn out the lights, and then we're like, well, why can't I sleep? And so many people are watching the 10 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news, and you're putting all that crap, all that garbage that you don't like in the first place,
Yeah.
that you wake up next day
Last
complaining.
thing you see before you go to sleep at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to change all that.
Yeah.
So an hour before, you got to start shutting down. You got to shut down this system. You got to take care of it.
Hmm.
And then I tell people, encourage people to make recordings of statements that are life changing. I can't think of one right now. One that I have used. But you use and you do it in your own voice,
Hmm.
because when your subconscious hears it, it's you.
Yes.
It it
Yes.
it that's when the change happens.
Hmm.
And so you listen to all those recordings, or you listen to what I call breathline music, or breath
Hmm.
music that are helping you with the change that you want in your
Yeah.
life, and to change the thinking. That reprograms the subconscious.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know that this is working? When you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or go to the refrigerator, get a glass of water, the music is playing in your head and you're thinking it and you're
Hmm.
singing it automatically without thinking about it.
Hmm.
That's when you know
Yep.
it's
That little
starting.
internal
That
jukebox that we, yeah,
internal,
yeah.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. And then your monkey brain, as I love the Buddhists, the monks, they
Hmm.
call it your monkey brain.
Hmm.
Your monkey brain is still being the monkey brain because that's
Hmm.
what it does, but
Hmm.
it's a different information.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so now my subconscious is filled with my music. It's
Yeah.
filled with the change and the way I want to think.
Yes.
Our
Yes.
behavior is a result of what we think and what we believe and what we say and what we do.
Yeah.
Our behavior never lies, and I can't take credit for
Hmm.
that quote. I would make reference to the gentleman, but a lot of people have not heard of him. But our behavior never lies, and our behavior is a result of all those things.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
anyway, I went a little longer than I
Yeah.
intended to.
No, that's okay. That's all right. That's all important.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move ahead. I mean, we
Okay.
spent a lot of time on this. I think people got the point. It's-
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it's important. It's important, and
Yeah.
it's what you and I do, and we've done it in our own lives, and so we can talk about this.
Hmm.
So let's talk about witch.
Okay.
This word witch, and you acknowledge yourself as a witch. I love this word. In some ways, I think of myself as a witch. Um, I but it's all earth based, and that's but
Hmm.
we've gotten so afraid of this word because of our
We've been made to be afraid of
we've
this
been
word.
made to be afraid. And I want to give a
Mhm.
little history to that, because
Yep.
I enjoy studying history, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but you also know a little bit about the history because you've studied biblical theology as well. But we
Mhm.
have to understand why this word was so bad, and why things in general were so bad, not just with Council of Nicaea. That was just the beginning. But we had in England in the 800s, a little bit before that, they were trying to become one country. I don't know if that was the initial intent, but they were always warring with each other. But
Mhm.
also the Roman Empire, the Roman, say the Roman Church, was trying to gain a foothold in all of Europe. And so they were convincing these monarchs, well, if you want to go to heaven, and if you want to be actually God, well, then you've got to follow us.
Mhm.
And so, and we'll
And
support you and
just to
we'll give you
that
money.
point,
Yeah.
what can a king want? I mean, there's not a whole lot of steps up from being the king unless you want to be a god, right? So
Exactly.
like appeal to what somebody doesn't yet have, and
Yes.
yeah.
So I
Hmm.
know it's a lot for people to take in, but you have to understand this. This is why you have to understand the history
Hmm.
to understand why we're questioning what we're questioning.
Yes.
And so that's important. And so so England is fighting each other. They're split up into different kingdoms. But the Roman Church said, we will financially support you, because the Roman Church was very wealthy at that time, was starting to become. So we'll support you with finances, we'll support you with men, and you can kill your fellow human beings in order to have control. And so, but then once that happened, then the king had to control his people. He had to scare them
Hmm.
into following him, or else
Hmm.
he'd kill them.
Hmm.
And so the word that was used a lot during that time while trying to translate the Bible and all that kind of stuff. And, evildoers was
Mhm.
the word. But King Alfred in 890 wanted to really hit home this word evildoers. So he found this word witch. It wasn't a common word, but decided to make everyone witches that did not agree with him, especially those who were more earth-based,
Mhm.
those who went inward, like Yeshua taught us, the kingdom of heaven is within, not out
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
And those who still believed that, he couldn't control.
Mhm.
So in order
And
to
that's the big
control,
problem.
that's the
Yes.
big problem. So in order to control, he created this word witch. And then what happened is your neighbors started ratting you out. Oh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Mhm.
We've seen that played
Mhm.
over and over again through it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if it was World
Mhm.
War One, World War Two, or even right now.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
political system gets you to rat your neighbors out.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yep.
And so that's
Yep.
why this word has been so afraid. We've been so afraid of
Mhm.
this word, but we don't have to be. So, Julie, that's
Yeah.
where you jump in.
Yeah. Well, the fear component is the biggie here, right? First of all, which aside,
Yes,
religion, not God, but
yes,
religion has
yes,
always controlled with fear. Fear of hell, fear, like we said a minute ago, fear
yes.
of being shunned,
Yep,
fear
yep,
of retribution of whatever sort, but the
yep.
fear of hell being a big one, right? Yeah, I mean, you do what we say, you're going to go to hell. Well,
Yep, yep, yeah,
that's pretty, cut and
yeah.
dried. So they already had mastered the fear component, right? Controlling people with fear. Now, just as a little aside, we see that play out in government and marriages and everywhere else, right? Like we still gangs control with fear, right? You do this or something's going to happen to that person you love.
Yes. Yep.
Fear, fear,
Yep.
fear, fear, fear tactics. Okay.
Yes.
A lot of people were are they conform, right,
Mhm.
because of the fear. They will just suck it up, they'll fall in line, and they'll do what they're told. And I'm not judging them for that, I'm just saying there's a lot of people that we use, whether it's a king, a preacher, a spouse, whatever, we use fear tactics because they work. Fear
Mhm.
and guilt.
Yes.
Guilt trips work, fear works. That's
Shame.
why they're shame. Yeah, it works. That's why they're used, right? So, but a lot of people, um, it worked, right? So they did what they were told. They gave their money and they lived this way and that way, and the powers that be got to remain intact, right?
Mhm.
Why were the witches labeled as the evildoers? Because they were often the ones that didn't conform.
That's right.
They were often the ones that were like unwilling to fall in line,
Mhm.
right? Um, and because of that, we had to make them out to be bad people,
Yes.
right? So playing on the evildoers, right? Because
Mhm.
where do evildoers go? They go to
Hell.
hell, right?
Yeah.
Fear,
Yeah.
fear, fear. Okay. So we wrapped all that together and said, oh, these are evil people. And they weren't all women, also, to be fair. Like we we have this prevalent idea that we associate witches with women. And
That's
there were, of course, but there
and
were a
that's a
lot.
whole other reason why they were labeling primarily women as witches, and we don't have to get into
Yes,
that here. But yes, that's why we see a
yes.
lot of that. But it's not true.
But there were men too, and
Yes.
whether
Yeah.
when we even here in the U.S. in the witch trials, there were men that were executed in Salem, ton
Hmm.
of men that were executed in Scotland, like and
Yes.
all in many other places. But it
Yep.
wasn't just women. What it was, what it still is, are people who have been willing to question the systems
Yes.
and refuse to
Yes.
conform.
That's right.
Period.
You,
When
you and
you
I would be burned at the stake by now.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And the refusal to conform,
Yes,
then okay, well, we can't just be okay with that. You over here doing your thing and not, because like, what if other people think you've got it right and follow your example? So we need to exterminate these people.
and this is what we're
And
really questioning, and we're
yes,
starting to question this all across the board now.
yes,
I will no longer be silent
yeah, yeah,
because I'm no
yeah,
longer going to conform. And why do I have to conform? Because
yeah,
you're not, the people in charge are not living by what they're saying anyway.
right, exactly, exactly, yeah.
Well,
So, um, witches, as you said, often it's earth based. They were often the healers,
mhm.
the
The
people
doctors,
that the doctors, the midwives,
yes,
the word magic was thrown into it, but it was because they knew how to do things that other people didn't know how to do,
exactly.
right? And any new technology or medical advancement or scientific discovery or any of that at one time was considered a bunch of hogwash and woo woo and far fetched and crazy and whatever word you want to throw at it, right? But when people do, I think witches have been historically ahead of science for a long
Yes,
time.
yeah, yeah,
We just know how to use, and it's not just herbs and
yes.
things like that. It's the bigger piece than herbs is um energy.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Yes.
They knew how to
Alchemize.
alchemize
Mm-hmm. Yes.
their being.
Yes.
And that is part of the spiritual, what I'm now calling the spiritual remembering, not a spiritual awakening. And we
Yeah.
can have many rememberings, not just one.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
so this is the magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so when someone is off, you're operating at a different frequency. You're operating life from a very different place. You're learning how to, and so to someone who's not familiar with that and doesn't know how to do that, who doesn't know stillness,
Yeah.
it looks like magic.
Yes,
It looks
exactly.
like
My point
something
exactly.
from another,
Yes.
it looks like something from
Yes.
out of this world.
Yes.
But this, and
Because what in the world? Yeah.
we're gonna get into this, but the stillness
Yeah,
is a huge thing.
it is.
And they learned how to be still within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when they
Mm-hmm.
did that, that's when they could do all these incredible things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll hear, if you do any reading about witchcraft at all,
Yeah.
you'll, within the first 30 seconds, you'll come across the word intention. Okay.
Yeah.
Intention,
Yep.
intention, intention. But I want to say what I think intention is, or what that
Okay.
means, and why it's
Sure.
so important. Okay. Because like we all know, well, it was my intention to do this or this, means like that was my goal. But where the witchy part of this is the manipulation of energy. And I don't mean
Mhm.
manipulation in a like sadistic way or anything like that.
Sure.
I mean learning how, like you said, use the word alchemize, being learning how to work with energy. Now we can't see energy, right? And
Mhm.
so again, this is, I think we're a little ahead of science, but it's catching up. It's catching
Yes,
up.
it is. It is.
But I feel like intention, what that means is it's like focused energy with a goal.
Mhm.
Okay. So I have a goal. I have something I'm wanting to accomplish, or I have something that I'm wanting to protect or change or heal. Okay. So in my intention, that's what I want to do. But to do that, I've learned how to partner with energy. I'm
Yes.
working with it instead of against it. Right. And part of that is like you said, it's very earthy, right? It's my connection with nature, my connection with earth, with herbs, with water, with the elements, with the spirit, right? All of that, like utilizing um, all of these things with intention, and it works,
Yes, it
man.
does.
Like it works, and it can't be explained. yet, right? And so therefore it's evil, and you know, but it's not though. Like, there, of course, there are always people, witches included, where there's some that are nefarious, right? But that's with any people group.
That's right.
I don't care if you're talking about school teachers or airplane pilots
Exactly.
or a race or
Whatever.
no, whatever, right? There's that handful of people,
Yes.
but they don't define us. The vast majority with witches were people who were healers. They handled the medicine. They handled they delivered the babies. They were the death doulas, right?
Yep.
They were the people everybody came to when something was wrong and they needed help that they couldn't use a tool to fix, right? If it was a matter of the heart or the body, or and the doctor hadn't been able to fix it, or this or that hadn't been able to fix it, then we came to the witches. But we got in trouble because there would be a storm and somebody's crop would be destroyed, and we needed to blame somebody, and so we blame the witch, or this thing would happen, and a king who was threatened by, like we've been discussing, this nonconformity, a king in a ship gets caught in a storm and a witch gets blamed and
Yes.
executed for it.
Yes.
So it just started to be like they already didn't like them, and so they started to pin every, like,
Well, we also have to have one person to
unfortunate
blame.
event. Yes,
It's
pin
never
every
all of us as a
unfortunate event upon
society.
them. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the Bible started getting translated,
Yes.
intentionally translated.
Yes. Yes.
Read a whole book on this,
Yep.
about the
Yep.
way that the words changed in the
Yes.
Bible, like
Yes.
the scripture about do not suffer a witch to live. That word got intentionally put. That's not even what the original word
Yeah.
translates out as at all.
That's right.
At all, but it did the trick, right?
Yes.
It did the trick, and it created, and this is what we still often see happening in governments, is that the leaders spin the narrative, and then they get their followers all stirred up, and then the followers will carry out the acts of violence, the executions, like,
Yes.
they made people fear witches, right? And many other examples. And then the people who had come to them for help turned on them and executed them
Mhm.
out of fear.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of places we could go with that.
Mm-hmm. And I want to share one other thing while we're kind of in this space where the witch and the church thing are bleeding over together.
Mhm.
Um, I know you said we're going to talk about Scotland in a little bit too, but when I took my first trip to Scotland,
We can go there
um,
now. Let's do it.
okay,
It feels fitting.
I was in the process of trying to untangle all this, right? And
Sure.
and at that time, I hadn't yet embraced the word witch myself. I was witch curious, but I was not. I hadn't been willing to, like, own the word myself yet, and I was really struggling because I'd been working on my genealogy, and I had an ancestor who was executed as a witch there in Edinburgh, right?
Okay.
The person who um, pushed for this execution to happen, the person who made the accusations, and put this ball into motion. I don't
Mhm.
was also one of my ancestors.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So both sides, both sides. Okay. So I felt like I was standing in the middle and trying to figure out, okay, in my DNA, I have both sides of this.
Yes.
The woman who was persecuted and the man who did the persecuting, both both of them were my ancestors.
Yeah.
And it I wasn't sure what to do with that
Sure.
because, as we said a few minutes ago, um, this man believed what he believed because it's what he had been taught. And it was normalized to believe that, like, taking this action was appropriate and necessary. So, did he think he was doing the right thing? I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. But it's it's a strange place to be when you realize that both the persecutor and the persecuted are both in my family tree.
And that goes back to what we were, echoes a little bit about what we were talking at the very beginning of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The, they're synonymous.
Yeah.
There are sometimes two sides of the same coin. And that is when we are in victim mode,
Mm-hmm.
that is really difficult to see.
Mm-hmm. And there was a time that I feel like I would have aligned with the persecutor
Sure.
because it's
Yes.
what I had been taught also.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that kind of stung,
Yes.
to think, oh my gosh, because now I have this whole other understanding because I have asked the questions and done the research and gone down the rabbit holes and done the inner work. I have this whole other understanding now, but I haven't always had that. There was a time that I was taught the same things that this man was taught that had this woman put to death.
Mhm.
And I would have probably agreed. Ugh.
Right.
So without that willingness to, like, think for yourself, do your research, go inward, like, that's where we're at then.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow
Yeah.
because we don't want to think that we're capable of both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What that shows us is that we do have a choice, though.
Yes, exactly. Yes, absolutely. Behavior is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It is a
Yeah.
choice. And we have been programmed to think that's not true, but it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Behavior is a choice. And when you realize that, you can show up differently in the world. You can be the love that you want to be
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
pointing the finger and waiting for everyone else to correct their behavior first.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Scotland? How did that even unfold?
It's been part of my spiritual journey has been, probably it's been, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years now, something
Okay.
like that ago, that my son became very interested in, he wanted his DNA ancestry,
Okay. It's usually how it
because
starts.
yeah, yeah. So he was a teenager, and so I did this for him, and we got the results, and that was fun to look at. Well, then I wanted to see what mine were, right? So I did my little DNA test, and I got mine. And I first, I just became interested in looking at, like, my more recent ancestors originally, and like where they came from in the US, and things like that where they were buried, and I was running around to cemeteries and looking at my great grandparents somewhere, but it kind of expanded from there, right? And first I spent quite a bit of time like learning about England, and I was really interested in that. Maybe it was Wales first, Wales or England, and then but my biggest percentage of DNA was Scottish. And I was kind of resistant to it at first. I was like, I think Scotland's like overhyped. Like everybody's like excited about Scotland. I'm like, But then,
You gotta
but
go.
then,
You gotta go.
yeah. But then when I started kind of like learning about the places and looking at the photos and learning about those ancestors, it was like an instant click. It was like that moment, almost like where you can hear a lock like click into place.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, oh my. And then it just became almost like an obsession. Like I couldn't, I was listening to Scottish music. I started learning Gaelic on Duolingo.
Wow.
Like all
It
my,
just snowballed.
yeah, it just snowballed. And I was like, everything's Scottish. My calendars are Scottish and like everything.
Yes.
And it wasn't a phase. Like
Yes.
this would not go away. It just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I'd even like kind of try to pull away from. I'm like, girl, you're obsessing. Like, chill, but I couldn't. Like, I
Yes.
could not. I felt this draw,
Of
this
course.
pull to Scotland, like that I could not explain. And I was like, I do not know what this is about. I mean, I know I have ancestry there, but it felt like it was more than that. Like, way, way,
Mhm.
way more than that. And um, then I ended it. I was like, man, this is so. I ended up doing a past life regression, actually a handful of those, and learning and being able to very distinctly see and remember some past life experiences in Scotland. And that was an interest. I was so scared the first day I did that because I was like, oh, if like my younger church self knew I was doing this, I would be in so much trouble. Yeah.
Right. So that
But
involved into your music. Yes.
it absolutely. And so the whole Scotland thing, it just snowballed. And I still can't tell you exactly what the connection is, but it is so strong. It's like spiritual, it's like soul deep. Um, I went and spent 3 weeks there last year, and it was home. Like it was
Mm.
home. I cried, you know, to come back here, and I can't wait to go again. Like there's still
Yes.
something there, tons of amazing experiences that happened while I was there. But yes, then that definitely has spilled over into my music
Scotland's a mag
100%.
Scotland's a magical place. I've
It
been
is
there, and I when
100%.
I was
Yeah.
there, my time got rushed. And
Mm.
that's another
You
story.
got to
But
go again.
I'm going
Yeah.
again.
You got to
You
go again.
you know I was in Cornwall 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I will go back.
Yes.
But there is a connection there. There is something
Yeah.
mystical, magical,
Hmm.
spiritual, whatever word you want to
Yeah.
use. And when I
Yeah.
my friend and I camped along the Loch Ness,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when you look out onto Loch Ness, there's something other dimensional going on.
Yes. Yep.
And that's all I'm going to say, but you got to go
Yep.
experience it there. And then
Hmm.
you understand why there is
Yeah.
so much mystery just
Yes.
in that one. But it's not
Yeah.
just Loch Ness, it's all over Scotland.
Yeah. It is. It really is. It really is. I could write like a whole book about all the mystical, magical experiences we had just in that 3 weeks. It
Yeah.
was mind blowing. Yeah.
And then in your music, I feel and hear Scotland
Hmm.
in the tone of your music, and it is powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I came back from Scotland from that trip, and it was like 4 months later that this music thing burst open and just started pouring forth. And a couple of the songs are very, like one of them that I wrote recently is called Blood of Scotland's Witches.
Okay.
And that one's very, very specific to Scotland. And but there's it runs through it. The theme runs throughout all the music. You don't have to be interested in Scotland for the music to hit home, but if you're
Yes.
watching for that thread, it's in there. It's
Yeah.
absolutely in there. Yeah.
We're,
Songs
we're
like Stone and Shadow and
yeah.
um yeah, things like that. There's a lot of liminal spaces in Scotland. It just is magical. It's
Mhm.
absolutely magical. And I don't mean just like pretty scenery, because the scenery is glorious, but it's a very, very, very spiritual place. And um it it lives in me and it lives in my music.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
just want to jump in really quick.
Yeah.
Audience, I know we're running a little long,
Yep. Yep.
but turn us off, come back, because
Yeah.
this is really, I mean, again, people loved our first conversation, and that went almost in, I think I went an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're going to continue a little bit, but so if you want to pause
Yeah.
this and come back, it's all okay. But there's some things we really want to talk about, and it's also because this is the premiere episode of season two. This is
Yay.
this is why I'm doing
Yeah.
what I'm doing it. This is one of the stories of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
they're the guests, the upcoming guests, people are going to question. They're like, why the heck is this? But if you're asking that question, that's why you need to listen.
Yeah.
There's If you're asking that question, there's probably something that you haven't looked at
Yeah.
within yourself.
Yeah. And just
And
be willing to
so
do
and
that.
just be willing to do that. Just be
Yeah.
willing to listen. But anyway, so I'm going to ask you a question about your music.
Yeah.
You get this
Yeah.
question a lot. You know, people ask, is it really you singing?
Yes and no. Okay, let me
Okay.
break that down. Okay.
Yes.
So um in case anyone is watching that didn't watch the first episode, I am a musician. I
Yes.
have been
You are.
singing my whole life. I've recorded
Yes.
CDs in the past. Um, so I'm writing these songs. I'm writing them and writing the lyrics and the music. And then I'm using AI to generate the song, kind of like self publishing your book. You don't have to have an editor anymore. Now you can self publish your own music,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Um, I could, I could sing the songs, but
Hmm.
it would be like this massive undertaking to put it all together, right?
Yes.
And also, my voice has deteriorated over the past several years due to the bleed I had on my vocal cord. I still have to be really careful with my voice. It can't do the things that it used to do.
Sure.
But being able to use all of my musical background and my knowledge to be able to incorporate it all together using AI to wrap it up in a nice package for me allows me to then pull it together, put it on Spotify and YouTube and everywhere else so that it can get out into the world. Whereas before it would have been balled up in tons of money and months and months of trying to get the instruments and get the vocals right and get it all mixed and get it done and get it out there. And this allows me to put together and get it out there so much more effectively. um
Well, you're
I
having a relationship with AI, and that's what's
Yeah,
important.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And that echoes everything, a lot of other things I say
Mhm.
too, where
Yes.
everything around us I see as a presence. Everything
Hmm.
is life.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you are working in collaboration with AI.
Yes,
You're showing,
absolutely.
and you're not
Yep.
the only one that I am in contact with that does this. You are showing a relationship, a healthy relationship with AI and how it can be
Yes.
used instead
Yes.
of saying it's evil and bad and all that other
Yeah.
kind of stuff because
Yeah.
it's how it's programmed.
Yes,
It's
that's
not
right.
the AI software itself or the AI
No,
presence, it's
no.
how it's programmed. And this needs to be
That's everything, right?
exactly,
It is. And some people
absolutely.
don't like it. I've had
Yes,
some haters, I've had some rude comments, whatever. That's
yes,
fine. Like, and I was just that's okay. I'm, it's all right. You don't have to like it. You don't have to listen, but I'm gonna keep doing my thing
that's
because
right.
the response, the positive response I've had from it is um and to be clear, it's that's relationship based as well. Like I have created
Mhm.
relationship with my listeners,
Yes.
and they send me messages and I respond to them, and they tell me like, oh my god, like this is the song I needed to help me heal this thing, or
Mhm.
or this song helped me feel more like myself, or to have the courage to do that. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish. And without the AI, I couldn't have produced what I've been able to produce.
That's right.
So I am a real person. That's not my voice, but I feel like my voice is in it, right? Because it's
Of
my
course.
words, it's my ideas, it's my
Yes.
style, it's all of those musical elements plus AI all wrapped up together. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have, probably not, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there one song that sticks out to you the most?
It depends. You know what? I have these like little categories of songs, and I have one playlist of my songs that I've made called Exhale, and those are like the softer, more meditative,
Okay.
gentle songs, right? And then I have another playlist called Feeling Like a Badass,
That's
and
right.
that's and that's that's a different vibe. And
That's
then I
right.
have one called Deconstructing, and that's some of the songs that I've specifically written about deconstructing this religious stuff,
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's like those Scottish ones that are just very, very Scottish.
Mhm.
So it depends on the mood, you know.
Sure.
Um, so I don't know. It's hard for me to pick a favorite, but I did want to mention today, since we
Yes.
have talked about the importance of thinking for ourselves, that I released a new song a couple weeks ago called My Own Mind. And
Okay.
that's exactly what it's about, is using our minds, and not just accepting everything that we're told at face value.
Do you want to take a moment to either read or sing a verse for us?
I don't have any of that in front of me, Chad, but
Okay.
I would love if somebody would go listen to it though, because it
Absolutely.
talks about, you know, just using our mind, being willing to, that it's not about trust issues that
Mhm.
I'm questioning.
That's right.
It's not that I have trust issues.
That's
Okay.
right.
I mean, I might, but that's not my
Yeah.
reason for questioning,
That's right.
that it's that I'm wielding my mind. And it says, with a brain I know to wield, I won't be another sheep lost wandering in the field.
Mm.
And um and it talks about our critical discernment, and just not no longer being willing to just buy all the propaganda and all the things that we're told. So that one is one I'm trying to really kind of push forward a little bit right now, just because I really want people to think for themselves. Like, whether we're talking about religion or politics or relationships or whatever the thing is, like, I want people to learn how to listen to their own intuition,
Yes.
and to think, and to remember who they are, and be that person instead of who they're being told to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
That's a big one. We
mhm,
don't know how to be who we are because we don't know who we are.
exactly.
It's one of the
Mhm.
reasons we hate improv
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because we're all operating on a script.
Mhm.
It's easier for someone to tell me who and what I am
Mhm.
than for me to go inward and sit in stillness and
Mhm.
listen to who and what I am.
Yep. Yep.
It
Yeah.
takes responsibility.
Yeah.
It takes courage.
It does. It does. Because when we refuse to play the role that someone is trying to assign us, when we refuse to play that role anymore, somebody's not going to like it.
Yeah. The
And it may
hardest.
feel like
Mhm.
life has gotten really hard because we've refused to, you know, just go along with those expectations anymore.
There are there are we're getting into the next
Mhm.
thing we want to talk about, which is stillness. And
Yeah.
there are workshops specifically designed for the entire group to first sit in stillness and not say a word
Yep.
until they feel guided to. And it is uncomfortable
It is.
for
Mm-hmm.
people who have never done it.
Yeah.
But some really magical and powerful things come out of it when people are willing to just show up and
Mm-hmm.
be themselves.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. You're right.
And so, we end the episode in stillness, and we're going to do that. And we normally close our eyes and do that. But I'm wondering if you'd be willing for a moment just to sit with me in stillness. We're just looking at each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the
Yeah.
audience is invited to do that with us.
Yeah.
Because when you sit in stillness, there are things that come up that are not easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
But if you've done that in your life, what Julie and I are about to show you, it's not easy. It's easy,
Mm-hmm.
and
This,
you
you don't have
welcome
to
it.
be afraid of it.
No. So let's just go ahead and do
Yeah.
that for a minute.
Yeah. You bet.
Stillness is a way of being.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk a little
Yes.
bit about how stillness has affected your life, impacted you, whatever word
Yeah.
you want to use?
Yeah. Um, I grew up knowing how to be still. My parents modeled that well for me. But when I got out into the world, I lost it. With the expectations, and it when I found again that I could come to a place of stillness, it really was like coming home again. Um, it really genuinely is. We don't have to live in that chaos. We don't. I mean, it may be chaos all around us, but that doesn't mean that has to be the inner experience either. And when we realize that we have control over that, that we can calm ourselves, our minds, our bodies, then there's no reason not to come into that place. I tell people all the time, even if you can just get like 5 minutes, go get 5 minutes. It's like recalibrating. If that's all you can get, 5 minutes, do it, you know? And they'll tell me, oh my gosh, like I just went to the bathroom for 5 minutes, and because that was the only place I could get some peace, and I felt so much better. And yes, it is where we can, and we can just sit in and float in nothingness, and it's like medicine. Or we can go anywhere we want to in our minds. During weekend, sometimes I like to envision being in a peaceful place, that, and just absorbing and immersing in that. And other times I just sit in, like, in the void, in nothingness. And either way, every time I open my eyes again, I feel so much better.
One of my favorite verses in scripture is be still and know that I am God.
I'm, mhm.
I could do a whole
Yeah,
workshop just on that one verse.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But I ask people, if you allowed God to be God in every moment of your life, instead of only in the chaos or when things are going terrible or when you're unemployed or when the money is not there, that seems to be the only time we really, and then in those moments,
Yeah.
we're telling God what it needs to look like.
Yeah. That's not really a relationship.
And so what now that you've allowed, so I'm going to ask the question a little differently than I started this, but now that you've allowed God to be God in every moment of your life, how is your life different?
In every way.
Yeah.
In every way. And I do wish that church people understood that my absence at church doesn't mean that I have abandoned God or that I'm struggling or that I'm depressed or that I'm going through something. It's not like that. Like I feel a clearer connection
Yes.
than I ever have before. I'm good. I'm great. I'm healthier. I'm happy. I'm, like I'm in sync and there's no interference. Mhm.
Julie, with where you are right now in life, what are you learning?
Mhm. Mhm. I'm learning um I'm learning how to um I'm learning how to command my own experience
Mm.
because in the past it's always felt like begging, wishing, pleading,
Yes.
bargaining, and the idea that I don't have to do that, that I can, that I have source within me, and I'm able and authorized to use that. I can command and I don't mean like in like a dictatorship kind of way, but I mean I can declare my health. I can declare my success. I can declare my well-being, my happiness, my whatever. And Chad, it works. It works. It's like stepping into my own power. That's what I'm learning. And that doesn't make me like a dictator or a horrible person. It doesn't make me arrogant. It just means that I've taken control. Um, whereas in the past, I was never allowed to see that as an option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Julie, this has been a treat.
absolutely.
I won't be surprised if you become a regular guest.
Oh, that would be fun. Yes, yes, yes. Because there's like a million things we could talk about, right?
There are, there are, there are. So
Mhm. Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
back, of course.
Thank you
And so
for letting me
let's,
come back and chat
of
up more
course,
of your time.
of
Yeah.
course. So let's take a moment and breathe together
Yeah.
before we close out. And I don't think anything else needs to be said. So when after we take a moment to breathe, I'll just close out the episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great. Yeah.
This has been a Pneuma meditation, a Pneuma conversation. Thank you for sharing in the breath. Together, we've remembered little more of what it means to be human. Until next time, breathe.